Hispanic Lifestyle is pleased to have the support of Wells Fargo Bank. For more information, visit their website at wellsfargo.com. With roughly 60 million Latinos in the U.S., we highlight Latinas of influence, businesses surviving to thrive. We talk culture, travel, health, wellness, music, entertainment, and of course, food. Our passion is to share inspiring stories with the community. I'm Richard Sandoval, and this is Hispanic Lifestyle.
So, Peter, I'm going to talk very familiar. Bottom line is I've known you for more years than we probably both want to admit. But I want to talk about what's the latest with you. But before we get into that and all this stuff, how is your family doing?
Thank you, Richard, and thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. We're doing good, all things considered. Sadly, this pandemic has touched, some friends and family, but, we're going through it. I have to say, I'm very proud of my daughter, Alessandra, who's a freshman at San Diego State, and she's going to school online at home where we live in Rancho Cucamonga. But, her and her class and that generation, they're just plugging along. And I'm impressed with how they've been dealing with this situation and just overcoming tremendous obstacles to go to school online. So it's good. I've been home the most I've ever been in my 27-year career in corporate America. So I'm learning how to fold the towels properly, know where to put certain pots and pans. And so domestically, I'm doing great. I'm excited about it. But the family's doing well. We're getting through it, and I'm optimistic and hopeful we'll get past this situation and back to normal, hopefully this year.
Well, congratulations on your evolution and joining the rest of us. But I want to talk a little bit about your background. I've been watching your career, as many people have, and I know you've shared some stories with me privately, starting off as a teller and in a bank, and your connection to Tiger Woods. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but share with us a little bit of your background, which really was the start of your corporate career.
Yeah, well, I'm born and raised in Victorville, Apple Valley, in the high desert. As soon as I graduated high school, I moved down to Orange County. Did not go to college. I drove to the college, but didn't stop. Started my career as a banking teller at San Juan Bank in Stanton, California. And the lady that trained me to be a teller was Tita Woods, Tiger Woods' mom, who I think he was in 8th grade at that time. She did a great job with me and him, obviously. And that started it all. The one thing when I talk to people about that story is I'll always be nice to 8th graders because you don't know who they're going to become or what they're going to be. So that's a good life lesson. And then been in banking. I was in banking for 20 years. Joined American Savings Bank where I was underwriting multifamily loans, and I got called into the office by the heads of the department. Tremendous gentlemen, John Nunn and Art Porter, African Americans, who said, Peter, hey, we need someone to do some external affairs, government relations, building relationships with key groups, organizations, stakeholders. And at a young age of 25, 27, I said, sure, I'm happy to do it. I did not know what I was going to do. I said, so what do I do? They said, you come up with the game plan. You come up with the strategy. You create it. And I think that was the key to everything I've been doing for 27 years. It's always been, my strategy, my focus, obviously, expanding and flexible, adjusting to the time and the markets. But every place I've worked at has really been very supportive of my strategy to connect properly with with our markets, whether it's Orange County, California, or Orange County, Florida, to New York, and everywhere in between, but just understanding the elements of those markets, which I've been able to do, and then making sure the company is engaged properly. I think I've been able to do that because I'm the youngest of 7 boys. So growing up the youngest of 7, you learn to adapt very quickly. So I've been able to do that. I think another key thing for me, I was always in the major market of Southern California. Regardless of the company or industry, California, and particularly Southern California, is the major market. So there's a lot of activity. And to be able to be in a major market with a lot of activity, you get the experience, you get the connections, you get the involvement, you get a lot of benefits. And at that time, fast forward to American Savings Bank, we were acquired by Washington Mutual in 1996, I think, which was the first that kicked off years of banking mergers and acquisitions. And it was a tremendous experience for me because my responsibilities were to go into these markets across the country and get the approval of the regulators, the community, political, and help these mergers go through even faster. And I have to give credit to now, hopefully, soon to be our Secretary of Health and Human Services, Javier Becerra. When Washington Mutual acquired American Savings Bank, they said, do you know any elected officials that we should be talking to talk about the merger and how it will benefit the community? I said, yes. I know Congressman Javier Becerra, who I just met one time, maybe 2 weeks before. But to his credit, I called him. I said, Congressman, I could really use your help on this. We have the head of government relations from Seattle, Washington Mutual, coming down to talk about the merger. Would you mind meeting with him to ask questions and make sure that he hears from a leader here in LA and California? He said, sure. The meeting went great. He did great. The executive from Washington Mutual was very happy. And they said, he asked me, can you do this across the country? Exactly what we did. I said, sure. I never did it. But, like our community, put something in front of us and we'll get it done. So I have to that was 1996. So I have to give tremendous credit to now Attorney General Javier Becerra, soon to be Secretary, but more importantly, my friend. And I use that when I tell people about the importance of networking, to establish and maintain that throughout your career, as his path has just evolved and been successful. That's helped me in my career. Same could be said with my friend, Senator designee Alex Padilla, who I've met when he was a district director for then LA City Councilman Tony Cardenas back in the 90s. Always maintained the relationship, always worked together. And I think that's an example of our growth in our community, not only in political environment, but in corporate for me. So then we got acquired by JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon, and tremendous experience. I've been lucky to always live in Southern California, so I traveled my whole career. And that was during the economic downfall of 2008. So I worked with Jamie closely on the banking issues, foreclosure issues, tremendous experience. But again, same thing, using my relationships, using my experience. And then Coca-Cola came calling. My good friend Rudy Becerra, who at the time was the head of Office of Latin Affairs for Coca-Cola, asked if I would consider coming over. It was a great discussion, great opportunity. And I did. Fantastic to represent the most recognized brand in the world. Different industry for me, different issues. So after 20 years in banking, I looked at it as an opportunity to grow and expand myself. I'm glad I did it. It was tremendous. And now I have another opportunity. I'm so excited about this opportunity that was presented to me by Mercury Public Affairs to come in as co-chairman, and another phase, another challenge, and I'm excited about that.
Well, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you there before we get into that. But a couple of things that you said, and I'll give you a chance to catch your breath on this, is that number one, I knew that you hadn't graduated from a college or university, but I'm sure you got education along the way. What is it? And I know you speak to a lot of young people, schools, and I know education's important to you. You just mentioned your daughter's going to university. How do you reconcile, balance the two, be honest with yourself, and then also encourage others to seek higher education?
I was honest with myself from the get-go that I had to out-hustle everybody. And education is a marathon. Academic school education is one thing, but real education about the industries, the businesses, the issues, that's ongoing. And so I've always made a huge focus on educating myself throughout on all those issues. But knowing that I did not have a college degree made me hustle even more. I say die for the fumble. Sweat equity. Put in a lot of hard work, a lot of time to compensate for that. I didn't rely on, I felt like I worked without having a net, so it made me just work nonstop. That said, I don't think that could happen today in corporate America. I think you need a degree, and I've always been a proponent of higher education. It gives you a better opportunities, more opportunities. And I wanted to make sure that my daughter had that, because this is a global market. It's too competitive now. You can't, I don't believe, maybe you can, but I think it's harder now to start as a teller without a college degree and do what I did, because a lot of it has to do with relationships internally and externally. And that was a challenge back then. I don't think, I'd be surprised if you could do that now.
Well, it's kind of funny that you should mention this, and that is the reality. And I tell my children this too, that we're just blessed with some attributes that people spend tens of thousands of dollars on, and that is personality. You have a personality, you have a presence. You're fortunate to have height, but so people notice you, but you have this demeanor and a commitment to the community that, again, people spend tens of thousands of dollars, corporations spend tens of thousands of dollars trying to teach your staff to have something that you were basically born with.
Yeah, thank you. I'm 6'2". I had hair, but 27 years has worn me out. And I think you brought up a good point, Richard, that everybody, in the world that we operate in is smart, skilled, but what is going to separate them? And that is their uniqueness, their personality, their personal background, their personal experiences. And I've just been real about it. I didn't want to try to pretend to be someone else. I've always been myself. Now I'd have to, make sure I knew what hat I was wearing in a certain situation. I can't act one way in a boardroom and another way at a baseball game or a boxing match when I'm rooting for some teams. It's just knowing what hat to wear in what situation, but always being myself. And I hope that the younger generation can understand that, and that's going to expand them, and that's going to give them opportunities. But I put a lot of emphasis on personality in corporate, because you don't want to be a robot. You don't want to just be a rubber stamper. And that means, pushing back on issues within the companies you represent to say, that's not the right way to go. If my job is to position you and protect and promote the company, that's not the right way to go. We need to be thoughtful and do it a different way. But if you don't have that type of personality to push back or speak up, then that's not going to do you very well in your journey.
Well, we're going to put your skills to the test now to see how you navigate all this. I know that you have worked with, in your role, in your corporate role, having to work with Republican and Democrat, liberal, conservative, navigating through getting the message out, your initiatives out. Talk a little bit about that expertise.
Yes, that has been art. That is not something you learn in school, to be able to manage the relationships with various elected officials from various lines of government, from various markets, from various parties is not easy. It's an art that you have to develop and understand. But I've enjoyed it. One thing that I did have to do early is learn to make sure that when I interacted with these individuals, I was representing the company. I was either representing JP Morgan or Coke or Washington Mutual. I wasn't representing Peter. And sometimes that was hard for me, because sometimes the positions these individuals took on social issues like immigration or education that I may have been opposed to, I had to separate that and make sure that I stayed on point and focused on the business at hand. And I think that was a great self-taught lesson, because again, it expanded me. And I was able to build the relationships through my job. And as I built those relationships, especially with those that maybe I was on the other side of personally, we were able to talk, because there, over 4 or 5 years, we were able to talk about those issues in a different light. And that's an art, and that's patience, and that's understanding. You have to put yourself in their shoes. What do they need to accomplish? Not only what do they need to accomplish, where do they want to go? Because they have goals and aspirations and an objective just like others do. So you have to try your best to understand that. But I think what I'm excited about is, particularly for Latinos, is 10 years ago, there were probably 3,000 Latino elected officials at all levels of government, from school board members, state reps, city council members, all the way up to senator. Now, close to 7,000 Latino elected officials at all levels of government and growing. We're in California, so you know, we don't even have to talk about all the leadership here, but you can see what's happening with the administration, with hopefully Secretary to be Javier Becerra, Senator Padilla, in New Mexico, Senator Ben Ray Lujan, and others. Latinos and other people of color are going to have a voice, a strong voice on mainstream America when we need it now more than ever. I'm very concerned about what's happening in our country. I'm very concerned about what's happening in our communities, and I hope the new administration can help focus and build those bridges back, because it's not pretty. But the fact that we have people of color, women, and others, more diverse folks, voices in these positions, I'm hopeful that it can help, you know, build the bridges that we need. It's scary, but we need to get this done, and we need to hold people accountable. But I'm excited about the individuals that we know that are going to go speak for us. Now, let me focus on California. We have, where I live, where you live, we have some huge needs in California. I think we as Californians, take the parties away, whatever, just as Californians, we have some needs here: broadband infrastructure and others, housing. We have a vice president that will be from California. The Speaker of the House is from California. The minority leader is from California. And probably 50 plus congressional representatives. If we as Californians can't hold our federal delegation accountable to say, you're in all these leadership positions, we need this as Californians, then we're not doing our job as Californians. I think we need to focus as Californians just on what we need, the three things that we can agree on that benefit everybody. We pay the most taxes, we get the less back, but I would hope that we just as Californians step up and use the delegation and make sure that they're bringing some things back to our region a little bit better.
I'm going to bite. How do we do that? Is it writing an email? Is it sending a note on Twitter? What is it? How would you engage somebody? How are you encouraging other people to engage with our elected officials?
I think everybody has a role. I think the business community has a terrific role. If we could partner with the academics, with nonprofits, with leaders up and down the state. You know, we're such a big state. Everybody has their own philosophy, whether you're Northern California or, you know, Central California or Southern California, home of the world champion LA Dodgers, home of the world champion LA Lakers. We're champions down here, but we need to better communicate with our fellow Californians across the state on issues that we can agree upon. We're not going to agree upon 10 or 12, but there's one or two, like broadband infrastructure and water. And we have to get the leaders from each industry that has a voice on our communities. And everybody is to be held accountable, but hopefully that could be done. And I think I would like to be a part of that. And so maybe that's something that I can help push.
Speaking about helping, this is a brand new year. I get an email from you telling me that there's a professional change in your life. For many, they read about that via my network, and I would like you to talk a little bit about it because, and I'm not trying to minimize this at all. You have, through your advocacy and your position with corporations, for lack of a better phrase, is spread the wealth around, taking a lot of these nonprofits, media, small businesses, and doing business with them and also being a mentor to them. So talk about your new position and actually some words that you might want to share with some of your colleagues that aren't aware that you're about ready to make a new chapter in your professional life.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited about this new chapter. I'm very sports oriented. I accepted a tremendous offer to serve as to be a co-chairman for Mercury Public Affairs, an international public affairs lobbying strategy firm that works with companies, entities, nonprofits, to meet their needs, to help them with their strategies and issues that they're facing. I'm going to be able to stay here in beautiful LA, Rancho Cucamonga, California, but yet still keep my national reach and help clients meet their needs and help them understand the uniquenesses in markets across the country, or even in California. As an example, it's not enough just to focus on LA. I want to make sure they understand the growth in the Inland Empire and the fastest growing region in California, understand the issues, understand that it's not enough just to provide some financial support to some of the community organizations or issues that they face, but really get involved and really participate in the discussion, put in some sweat equity in the discussion, make sure that the executives see firsthand some of the challenges and the issues that they're going to face in the markets that they want to penetrate. And with my experience over 27 years, both in financial services and consumer products, the relationships that I have, I'm looking forward to helping many companies meet their needs, but also make sure they understand their role in the markets that they want to serve. And I think that's the key to success. Our communities understand when you're real or not. They understand we're sophisticated. We understand the sincerity in companies' commitments to communities and their involvement. But I hope and would urge them to make sure internally that they have diversity and different voices in their internal committees that are throughout corporate America, and that externally you have to get into the markets to understand the markets and better serve the markets. And here in California and across the country, as you know, it's diverse from, you know, Rancho Cucamonga to Palm Springs to Temecula to Menifee and everywhere in between, and Riverside. And you have to build those relationships. I want to help companies and clients understand they have to earn their respect. They have to earn their credibility. And it takes, you know, long time and it takes some engagement, but for them to be successful long-term, you know, those are just some of the things that they're going to have to do. So I'm looking forward to sharing my experiences, but also helping them grow internally with their workforce, how to navigate corporate America. You're not taught, you don't get taught in school. There's no class in college or in school that says, hey, you know, corporate politics 101. Again, it's an art. And for individuals who come from communities where no one in their family was ever in corporate America, you have to learn on your feet. And so I want to be able to share that knowledge on some of the things that helped me move along.
But I thought with all your experience and, you know, just the places that you went to in your humble beginnings, there's got to be a moment where you pinch yourself and said, am I really here right now?
Oh, yeah. You know, look, when I'm at the White House or when I'm in the New York Stock Exchange board of directors and I'm presenting, when I'm in Israel or London presenting on our business, and I'm responsible for making sure a merger and acquisition goes through in Chicago. Those are all, to me, I pinch myself all the time. My dad was from Mexico, immigrant, Manuel. He passed away. He had a 5th grade education. My mom is still with us. She was the first Latina, she worked for the state in the 70s. I really, that drives me. And that makes me proud that, a kid with no college education is repping the largest bank in the world, JP Morgan, repping the most recognized brand in the world, Coca-Cola, and they trust me to have that responsibility. And so the numerous proud moments for me.
Well, good.
And this is a proud moment for me to be one. I mean, for Mercury to invite me into their family means I'm doing something right, doing something well, and they know I can add value. And so, and this moment is a very proud moment. The fact that one of those most recognized public affair firms in the world invited me to join their family and bring something to the table to add value makes me very proud that I think I've been putting in some hard work and doing it right. And I want to make sure that I'm at a stage now in my career, I want to share that. I want others to be successful. I want to share the knowledge on what to do and what not to do based on my experience. And so I'm proud about this moment and the challenge ahead. I think it's important that people continue to challenge themselves, and I'm going to be challenged, but I'm excited about it.
I hate to sound like a fanboy, but I'm proud of you too. It means a lot to people like me to see people like you in the community doing what you're doing. And I wish you a lot of luck. And thanks for spending some time with me this afternoon.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. I'm proud of you too. You've been doing it for a while. We've both been doing it together. I look forward to continuing to be locked in arms to support our communities, California and everybody else. But thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Didn't get enough? There's always more at HispanicLifestyle.com. And follow us on your favorite social media platform.